It's July 5th, 2007. We are at the First Presbyterian Church in Wabash, Indiana. My name is Ashley Lichtenbarger, and today we're interviewing Eugene Cloud. The camerawoman is Megan Frick, and we're affiliated with the Wabash County Historical Museum. Eugene, what branch of the service were you in?
Marine Corps.
Okay. What war were you in?
Korean.
And your highest rank that you achieved?
Corporal.
Okay. And where did you serve most of your time?
Most of my time was spent at Camp Pendleton, Indiana. Oh, Oceanside, excuse me.
California.
Yes.
Alrighty. Were you drafted or did you enlist?
I was drafted. Probably the first batch that was ever drafted in the Marine Corps.
Okay. And where were you living at the time?
Wabash.
Okay. Why did you get any choice in picking the service that you were in?
No, the whole batch, everybody went down there for a physical that day, went to Marine Corps.
Okay. Do you recall your first days of the service?
Oh, yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, after spending 3 days on the train getting out to California, we got there in the middle of the night, and the sergeant met us at the train and took us to the San Diego boot camp. That's where the boot camp the Marine Corps was at that time. It still is, I think. Mm-hmm. And lined us all up and told us how he was going to be with us the next 3 months while we was going through boot camp. And went to bed, and next morning we got up, was still in our civilian clothes naturally and all this and that, and he called us to attention. Well, he's going up and down through the lines, and of course when he went by me, my eyes just followed him, and first thing I know I got a whack in the back of the head. And that kind of straightened me up, and that's when boot camp really began for me. It was pretty strange through the first 3 months, but after you're out of the boot camp, you're pretty proud of the fact that you went through it.
Okay. Did you think that your instructors were too harsh, or were they doing the things that they needed to
I think they did what they had to do to get us trained in a hurry to go to combat.
Okay. How did you personally get through boot camp? Was it something that you had to struggle through? Or?
I just took it day by day and hour by hour and just survived until it was over with, to be honest with you.
Okay. During the Korean War, where did you go?
During the war, I spent most of my time at Camp Pendleton as a cook. As soon as I got out of boot camp, I was transferred to Fort Sam Houston, Texas, to go to cook and baker school with about 4 or 5 other men from my outfit. And from there, we went back to Pendleton, and that's where I served most of my time. I was aboard ship 3 different times. One I remember the name of was Valley Forge aircraft carrier. And I know when I got aboard, somebody said, well, somebody's from Wabash, Indiana on here, by the name of Freddie Ackerman Jr. I don't know if you girls remember Freddie Ackerman, the policeman here in town. It was his son. So I looked him up. It took me a couple of days to find him aboard this big ship. But that's just some of the experiences I went through. The other 2 times I was aboard ship, just making beach landings off the Valley Forge. We went by helicopter and made some beach landings just for training purposes. I was never really in combat, so.
So while you were in Camp Pendleton, were you cooking for the camp, or were you cooking for
I was
overseas?
cooking for the troops. Marine Corps fed a little bit different to Army. Army fed by 250 men on a meal, and we fed 1,000 men a meal. So we had about, I don't remember how many cooks we had on a shift, somewhere around 6 or 7 cooks, plus the mess men.
Could you tell us how that operation worked?
Well, we were supposed to have a day on and a day off, but when we was cooking, I had to get up. Since I lived off base, because when I was home in boot camp, I got married. So I lived off base. I had to get up about 2:30 in the morning to catch the bus out to the camp, and from the main gate to my mess hall where I cooked was 14 miles. So I had to get up pretty early to get out there. We had to be out there something like 3:30, 4 o'clock. I don't remember just exactly the hours now, but then we worked there till about 10 o'clock at night. Then the next day we were supposed to have off, but our day off was being with the troops out in the field, so we really didn't have no time off much. but that's what it consists of. Every other day I was cooking. But I happened to eventually get a job in what they call the spud walker. That's where they peeled all potatoes, making all the different type of salads and this type of thing. I think I had to have about 13 or 14 salads on the table at a time. Each day you had to have 3 or 4 different new ones, different ones. You couldn't put the same thing out over and over and over. So then from that time, I was working just from about 8 o'clock in the morning till about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 7 days a week. But that's where I ended up most of my time.
What kind of supplies did you have to cook with?
Oh, we had real good supplies. Cooking in there is a lot different than it is out here. We had what they call steam kettles. I think there's 30-gallon steam kettles, was pretty high. We had about 8 of them in a row that we cooked our vegetables and made our gravies and this type of thing in. And then we had about 4 grills that we cooked on, and ovens. We had probably 6 or 7 ovens. Trying to think. If I remember right, whenever we had hams or turkeys or something like that, it took 36 hams, I believe, or 36 turkeys or whatever. We'd spend the night there cleaning them and taking the bones out of them and getting them ready for the troops. I also went to baker school, but they kind of divided us up out and made some of us cooks and some of us bakers. And I happened to be a cook, lead the cooking, so. But I don't know, I remember when we had eggs, we'd have something like 6 cases of eggs sitting there ready to go. So it took quite a bit of food to serve that many people.
Oh yeah. So was there any requirement for the food that you had to make as far as nutritionally based?
Oh yes, they came out with a menu for us, and they furnished the food from a warehouse somewhere, and we had to prepare what they brought to us. Okay. But I do want to say that the food was excellent. They had good meats, T-bone steaks, and everything. You know, I was surprised at the quality of the food that they did serve. It was A1. I don't know how it tasted, but it was A1 as far as I was concerned.
Okay, very good. What were some of your most memorable experiences?
Well, I'd have to say probably being on the aircraft carrier and making a beach landing, and we went out in the boondocks for a couple of months, cooking off of stoves and things out with the rattlesnakes and sand and hills, and that was quite an experience. But another experience when we went on troop ship, we had to make a beach landing in these landing barges you've seen, and they lined us all up, and you climb up there on that rail, and all you can see is the ocean. You can't even see nothing down there below you. You're sitting there with a May West on you and a big 70-pound pack on your back, climbing down these ropes. Have you seen people going down them ropes? And that was quite an experience. People falling on you, and you trying to hang on to get back down there. And then we got down there in the landing barges, and the swells was too high for us to make a beach landing. We sat out there for about 6-7 hours, and that's the only time I ever got seasick. But that was quite an experience, I thought.
Since you were serving during the wartime, do you have any memories of people coming back from war? Do you have any experiences with that?
No, not really. While I was in though, but after I was in about 6 months, I was still living in barracks at that time, and they took half the barracks, which was 500 men, and put our hats all in a name, and 250 of those men names had to be flown overseas. And it might be just hearsay, but I heard rumors afterwards that the 250 men that went out of our barracks was all killed on Park Drop Hill. No, it lasted about 2 weeks, and they was gone. So that always kind of affected me to think that I was lucky enough not to be one of the ones that taken over. And I almost had to go overseas 2 other times, but for some reason or other, I just didn't have enough time left to go at that particular time. Just missed it a few days maybe each time from going over. But kind of dread I didn't go now, but at that time I wasn't too crazy to go because they were shooting at you.
So do you feel that you were lucky that you didn't have to go?
Well, in one sense, yes.
Mm-hmm.
In one sense, but in another sense, I wished I had went. Not particularly serving in the country, but I think it's an experience that you'd never forget being over there.
Okay. You said you got married between boot camp and going to California?
Yeah, boot camp and going to cook and baker school.
Okay. So you and your wife lived together off base in California?
Yes, most of the time it's off base.
Okay. How did you keep in touch with the rest of your family back in Indiana?
Well, just telephone call. They did visit me once, I think. Some of them came out. Yeah, her folks came out once, I think, and my mom and stepfather came out once.
Okay.
We had a daughter born out there, naturally.
Okay. How long after you were married did you have your daughter?
A little over a year.
Okay. What did you do for entertainment on base?
We didn't do anything for entertainment, really. I eventually was able to borrow some money and buy an old car that was runnable, but that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
But hardest time we had, me and my wife, was they didn't pay us much. I think I got something like $26 every 2 weeks, and she got probably 80 some. Probably went on the building, or we eventually got a new house trailer out there, which was only 8 foot wide and 27 foot long, but it was still new, a lot better than we was living in before, which was motel rooms and this type of thing before. But the rent was so terrible, it took all your money just to pay your rent. So I know we did we had some bottled gas to cook on, and 3/4 of the time we didn't have any gas. We went to city parks and things and cooked our meals up and things, which we look back on now, it was kind of exciting, but in them days it was pretty hard to get by on the money that they've given us.
What did your wife do?
She didn't do anything but watch the baby
Okay.
out there. She didn't work.
All right. Did you ever get leave?
Yeah, but we never had no money to come back home on, so we just spent our leave time out there.
Mm-hmm.
I forget how much we got. I think 30 days a year. That's all we got anymore.
Did you do anything special while you were out there? Short trips or anything?
Well, we did a lot of traveling by bus. We got a wonderful zoo at San Diego. We enjoyed going there and did that type of thing. And we went to Capistrano, where the swallows comes in each year, and went up there and we did a few things like that. And there's a mountain there also. It's got a telescope on top of it, Mount Parmo or something like that is the name. And we went up there, but that's about it, really.
Okay. Do you recall any particularly humorous or unusual things that happened?
Not really. But when I left here, I left with the 4 air guys from Wabash. I can tell you their names if you like. Pauline Rapp from the Fountain, Jim Sprong from the Fountain, and Herb Sunheimer from Wabash, and Herb Anderson from, well, he was from Wabash at that time. But we was all, Jim Sprong was my best man at my wedding, and I don't think we was over a mile apart all the time. We was in service together. But unfortunately, when he got home, for some reason or other, he ended up taking his wife about 3 or 4 months after we got home. I don't know why. Never will know. But that was kind of sad for us because we really thought a lot of him. But that's about all I can tell you.
Did you pull any pranks or make any jokes while on base?
Oh, people was always doing that. Yeah, people was always pulling pranks, but I can't really come up with one right now.
Okay.
Well, one prank I pulled, but even though I lived off base, I had to maintain a bunk in an area in a barracks, and we always had to have an inspection clothing, which was pleated pants, pleated shirts, and the whole ball of wax, so many socks, and you had to have them just perfect. Well, when I made corporal, I think I only had about 6 or 7 months to go, so instead of sewing my stripes on, I just pasted them on, taped them on, had them all ironed out, and they looked nice. But first inspection, they caught that, and it cost me three days in detention for that little trick. But outside pulling something like that, that's about all I can really remember.
Okay. What did you think of your your fellow soldiers and the officers?
I think we was all pretty well buddies. And Marine Corps, you're pretty close. I still keep in touch with, well, up to about 2 years ago, I kept in touch with 3 of them. But one of them passed away now, so he's gone. But I still keep in touch with the one who lives down in Franklin, Indiana. So we get together now and then. But it's about, of course, I see the editors out town here that I left with, so there's a few of them still around.
Okay. Did you keep a personal diary or a journal?
No.
No?
No.
Do you remember the day that your service ended?
Yeah. I remember anxious to get back home. We had this old car that we drove that took more on it did gas coming home. Of course, we had a 10-month-old baby at that time too. I think she was 10, and we just took off. Came across country, we made it back, but that's about it.
Okay, what did you do when you got back home?
Let's see, I went back to where I was working at the time I went in. Was a General Electric plant here in Wabash. Made that 12-inch cabins down. Okay. And then from there I went back to work at, after they shut down, well, I had a chance to go to Rockford, Illinois with them, but I turned that down and went to work at Honeywell's. I spent 9 years there, and then it went out of business. And then I went to Ford Meter Box, spent 31 years there, and that's where I retired from.
Okay. Did you and your wife have more children?
No, just the one girl.
Okay. Did you take any support from a GI Bill or anything?
No.
You said you still get together with one of your friends from the service from
Yes.
Franklin. Are there any other relationships that you had that were close while in the service?
No. There is some, but I've forgotten their names and lost track of them, really.
Okay.
I mean, we was close with a lot of people while I was out there in different groups, but that was...
Did you join any veterans organizations?
No, outside, I belong to the Veterans Administration over where I get my medicine things from now at Fort Wayne,
Right.
which is sure a blessing and help. Without it, I don't know how I can survive, to be honest with you.
Okay. Do you think that being in the military influenced your life after the war, after your service?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
In what ways?
Made a man out of me. I mean, you know, you have to, you're no longer a boy when you're in there. You have to become a man pretty fast, especially during wartime. Yeah.
Do you think that serving during a wartime and understanding the repercussions of that, do you think that changed your opinions about war and about the military?
It changed my opinion. I'm proud of the fact I served, and proud of all the guys that are serving now. I feel sorry for them that they have to serve, but the ones that make it through will be better for it, I think, most of them. The ones that are not injured or lamed in some fashion or other.
Okay. Are there any other stories or things that you'd like to add?
Oh, I can't think of any. I probably think 100 after I get out of here. Right now, I can't think of any.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah. Next door to somebody, you never know them.
Yeah.
That's the way it was.
Doesn't work that way for me. My neighbors are my grandma and my aunt and uncle.
Oh, yeah.
But I live in the country of the city, so.
I just live in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, we're northern Indiana girls. Sometimes we get kind of confused
down here.
We both went. I went to Manchester College.
Oh,
I graduated in May, and she still goes.
I'll be a senior this year, so.
So we're interning at the